So I'm thrilled to introduce Dr. Martha Eddy, who's going to be joining us and talking about mental confusion, reducing stress, and improving memory. This seminar will address what is sometimes referred to as chemo brain and its multiple causes: stress of illness, organizing medical appointments, financial burdens, and changes in the body image all impact on our ability to think clearly. Research shows that aerobic exercise and meditation can help focus thoughts and relax the nervous system. So learn how Moving for Life addresses these concerns and movement and mindfulness to support clarity, joy, and improve focus. Martha, we are so thrilled to have you. Thank you. And the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure being here. And I'm looking forward to hearing your questions. I've got a lot to share, so I am going to have like a PowerPoint where I outline things, and we can share the PDF of it, the handout from it, so that you have the access to that later. There are so many different levels to this that I even would invite you right now to write in the chat if you'd like, if you're comfortable with that, just kind of why you chose today. Is it because you're in the group and you're open to everything, or is it because you're dealing with some kind of either experience of memory loss or issues of mental confusion, or just feeling a lot of fatigue, or just feeling stressed? You know, anything you want to share with me will help me tailor the class more to your interests and needs. And I think most people are here from Woman to Woman, but if you've come from another group, whether it's Moving for Life or just having seen it online somewhere, that's nice to know too. You can feel free to share that information with us. So again, I'm Martha Eddy, and I'll introduce myself more using this PowerPoint. So here we go. And I will stop the PowerPoint from time to time, and we'll do a little movement. Just either sitting in your chair is fine. Just a little breathing, stretching for breaks, because they're really important for mental clarity. So here we go. So there's the title of our talk. And it's funny, one of the things that I just did as I was getting ready for the talk was saying there are a couple books that I really want you to know about. And one is called The Big Ordeal. This is the newer book that we really like to promote with Moving for Life. And the author of it just arrived. So that was kind of fun. So if we might even have questions for Cynthia if she wants to speak a little. The other is by Melanie Young, and it's more focused on breast cancer, but it really gets into lifestyle issues. It's called Getting Things Off My Chest. So anyway, if you find that you want to read a whole book that looks at stress and how it's impacting our minds, these are the two books I would really recommend, and I can write them in the chat towards the end. One is The Big Ordeal, Understanding and Managing the Psychological Turmoil of Cancer by Cynthia Hayes, and the other is Getting Things Off My Chest, which is by Melanie Young. So I'm an exercise physiologist. That means I study the inner workings of the body, as well as how movement impacts that. And movement is a very broad term here. Movement is how you sit. Movement is how you talk. Movement is how you breathe. Movement is also how you dance, how you walk, all those kinds of things. So we're going to talk about movement in the most kind of gentle sense, and then in the more kind of wide, more usual sense of big movement. I'm also a somatic movement therapist, and I'll talk more about what somatic means, but for now, let's just say that it is the body-mind connection. And I trained in dance as a young child and did my undergraduate degree in dance. So I have then taught in many universities, both the physiology, anatomy, somatic movement, which is this body-mind connection and gentle, mindful movement, as well as dance. And I wrote a book or two. So here are the two books. Actually, this is my new one. I have to show that off, right? It's called the first book was called Mindful Movement, and it's over there. So I'll show it later. But this one is about yoga. And yoga is a place where we can do movement that is relaxing and helps the brain, like other types of mindful movement. This one in particular is looking at hormonal balancing and how different types of use of your body can be brought in to help with basically balancing the energy systems and the hormonal systems of the body. So going on from there. Some of you may be here for yourself. Others of you may have family members that you're thinking of. So I'm just going to ask you these questions. Do you or a loved one experience the stress of having to organize a lot of different medical appointments, of being in an illness, perhaps of being fearful of a life-threatening illness? Or are you dealing with an injury, maybe on top of the illness, or some kind of chronic condition? Or are you at risk for something that's worrying you, whether it's genetic or something a doctor's told you in terms of lifestyle? Do you have financial burdens? And are you dealing with changes in body? Like, just used to have no scars and now I have a scar, or my back is hunching over and I'm beginning to feel like my posture is changing. All of these can, or I've gained weight or lost weight. All of these, my clothes don't fit anymore, which can relate to financial burdens. I'm dealing with that right now with COVID. So these are all really important things that impact how we think and our ability to think clearly. If our mind is busy, which it needs to be sometimes, with just organizing life, and there's no time to just let the actual, what we call interneurons and glial cells, the inner workings of the brain, to kind of recuperate, just like we need good food to help us grow our tissue back. So we'll just go through some of the other types of stresses that go on. So tiredness is the most common side effect to cancer treatment, and particularly to chemotherapy, but certainly surgery and radiation as well. It's very exhausting. So just being tired and then having to think is very difficult. But then if you put stress on top of that, you're dealing with a change of state in your body and mind. Sometimes there's a lack of motivation, which is actually one of the ways to best have experience with your mind. Like exercise is what brings bloodfulness into your mind, right? Into your brain. And so if you're not getting exercise, that can muddle the thinking, make it less clear. Similarly, if you're eating either maybe some of the wrong things, in particular, a lot of sugar is in particular gives us energy. Fruit sugar might be fine, but other kinds of sugar literally kind of spike our energy and then bring us back into exhaustion, back into fatigue. So I'm not speaking from a nutritional point of view today. I'm speaking more from an exercise point of view. However, do investigate that, because what we eat does make a big difference. Okay. Sleep is huge. So that's something you might be thinking about. How is your sleep? And whether you're getting the right number of hours, the right type of sleep. Well, what do we mean by right? The research used to be 7 to 7.5 hours a night was great. Now they're saying, especially as we age, we can use 8, 9, even 10 hours a night. Do you wake up feeling rested, or do you feel like you gotta have coffee, not just to move the digestive system, but just to think? So that might be something then to investigate. Is there enough breath happening for you during your sleep? In other words, might you have some sleep apnea? Is there anything going on with that? So the others might be related to being just restless in your sleep or irritable. And, our dreams are meant to deal with unrest and difficult things. That's fine. But if it's the whole night and we're not going into our deeper states of rest while sleeping, we may wake up tired. So that's something to think about. And it's a kind of exercise is sleeping, getting ourselves relaxed enough at night to have a deep sleep, having enough exercise during the day that our body feels the fatigue that says it's time for sleep. Or perhaps even watching what we eat before going to sleep. I think most of you know it's best not to eat for 2 hours before bed, because otherwise, there could be reflux, there could be just digestive machinations going on. And if you just kind of follow what happens just sort of the hour and a half, 2 hours after a meal, that's a great time to rest during the day, take a nap, a siesta. But to have a good, deep nighttime sleep, we don't want to have too much food in our body being processed. And then again, one of the things to notice is this cycle of when are we building our strength? When are we stressing our strength to get stronger? And when are we really relaxing in order to regenerate ourselves? So chemotherapy and radiation actually are working to kill cells. And we need the healthy cells that may have been damaged in that process of killing off tumors or cancerous tissues to really get enough time to regenerate. And there are different things that help that regeneration. Rest is number one. So if you're tired post-treatment, that's normal. Go with it. If you just want to sleep, go with it. But if you can find time during the day where you have enough energy to maybe cook or clean the house, think about, have I had some exercise to really get my blood flowing? And cleaning the house could be that, but you may also want to do some larger body, whole body rhythmic aerobic activity that also isn't looking down, but gives you a chance to stretch your body in different directions. So again, we'll talk more about that. How does this affect the brain? Well, this slide is just repeating what we're saying, that it's common to need to think about the discipline to counteract stress and to get your body and mind connected. And that no exercise or eating improperly can just make that stress worse. So when we're feeling fatigue, that's my first question to you. Can you notice for yourself if fatigue is an underlying cause of maybe some of the mental confusion? Because we are tired. You might notice the time of day you're most fatigued, or if it's just all day long, or are there particular days of the week that you're noticing it? Because if you can track it, if you can take a little inventory of when you're really just feeling totally exhausted, then you can take lifestyle steps that will help reduce your fatigue, like, oh, I need to go to bed earlier, or I need to take a nap after that class that I do every week, or when I visit my child or my relative or my friend, that's a big long walk, and then I come back and then I have another meeting or another engagement, and actually maybe that's when I should be taking a nap. So noticing which types of activities you've done during a day that you're feeling very tired. And then kind of analyzing the experience of the tiredness. Is it that your body feels tired? Is it that you start to feel confused, maybe even a little dizzy? Sometimes people are experiencing nausea, and how does that interact with this? So we want you to experiment with the best time for you for both exercise and relaxation. And not all relaxation needs to be a nap, although that's a great one. And 10-minute naps can be wonderful. There are whole books on napping right now and lots of research. The Harvard Wellness Center has done quite a bit on what they call power naps and different times of the day and lengths of naps for different types of needs. But you can follow your body, and that is the somatic body-mind connection. Just kind of experiment. And, oh, does a 10-minute nap help? Or if you just let yourself lie down and then notice how long you sleep for and notice how you feel, then you might next time say, oh, wow, I felt great after just 30 minutes or after just 10 minutes. And then say to yourself, oh, I can plan that 10 or 30 minutes for resting and feel refreshed so that my brain is working more clearly. Now, again, sleep is when the glial cells, which are or glial, I've seen them pronounced both ways, are part of they're called the gray matter. We have white matter in our brain. So we've got brain cells, and then we've got these surrounding cells. And they're really important for kind of helping the mind work well. And sleep is when the lymphatic, as well as the blood, as well as these glial connections are getting supported for better thinking. So that's a little neuroscience that you can investigate more or ask me more about if you want later. On this one, if you are experiencing mental confusion, I just wanted to go ahead and talk about some of the mind activities you can do. And then and you'll see the larger font print is then coming into the lifestyle changes that are possible. So certainly just keeping a to-do list is really great, or sticky notes. So if you have a pad, these Post-it notes, and you can write them down and then just put the pad somewhere where you're going to really see it. That kind of organizational feature is really helpful. I like these ones with lines. I like them big so that I can print or write nice and big and see it. If you're doing something really important to you and it is taking a lot of mental concentration, the more you can clear away other activities, like ask people not to call you during that time, or just not answer the phone and letting your phone answering system take that call for you, that allows you to really pay attention. I find notification ringing is something that is just kind of overwhelming, whether it's on your phone or your computer or an alarm. If you can maybe set one alarm that's for you that says, I'm going to take 20 minutes and not pay attention to any of those other notification rings, or turn them off, that can be really helpful too. If you're not already using a calendar or a daily planner, it is really helpful. And there are groups that, give them away for free. Sometimes it's insurance companies, sometimes it's doctors' offices related to cancer treatment. I know Livestrong used to have this kind of extra support. And so the idea of writing down what you need to do, and then sometimes I write in my calendar a couple days before, just like your phone will do. You can set it to say, oh, this is coming up in 2 days. What do I need to get ready for it? What questions do I want to have for my doctor? Can I write those down in advance? Other ways to work with the brain are to challenge it. So just like we challenge our heart muscle and our muscles of our arms and legs through exercise to get stronger and healthier, we can think of the mind as a muscle. And so many people that live into long age with lots of mental clarity are people that like to play games with, whether it's crossword puzzles or all the different kinds of games that are on your phone with Scrabble and word games, or making up rhymes. I've also had one client I met her when she was 88 and I worked with her till she was 97. And she liked to just read the phone book and look at names and kind of free associate to people in her life. Just that kind of thing, being creative, or picking 3 words and writing a poem. Or an essay, just creative writing, or learning a new hobby, learning a new skill. And that's where dance comes in. Dance requires you to learn steps. And that has been shown, and I was quoted in an AARP magazine and during the COVID pandemic, so I think it was August 2020, in talking about the importance of movement for blood flow, which we've already talked about, getting blood to the brain, but also the learning of steps and new coordination is really important for different parts of the brain, like the part of the brain that works with balance, the part of the brain that works with movement memory. The basal ganglia is a part of the brain that is why we don't need to think about how to walk. Our body remembers that. And when you're learning a dance, that's why we do line dances in Moving for Life. So that we say it so that you can go to bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, weddings, different parties, and be able to participate. You know the dance already. You can get up and be with the group, or be with your walker and wheelchair and be part of the group, whatever it takes. But it takes practice. And practice is basically teaching the high brain to teach the midbrain, which is more the emotional center, to remember. And then your balance and your cerebellum, the other parts of your brain, are learning. And all of this kind of wakes up more of the interneurons, the connectivity in the brain. And there's research showing that dance and dancing helps your memory, helps stave off confusion, works with de-stressing for sure, and a change in your hormonal state. The happy hormones come out, but also just being less stressed, and reducing that stress is so important. The other thing is kind of clarifying your space, having space for whatever you're doing. So getting rid of clutter is something that comes very easily to some people and is very difficult for others. But whatever your definition of order is, if you can give that to yourself, you deserve it. Everybody who's been on the cancer journey for sure deserves to treat themselves well, and to get other people to help you as much as you can, but also to really take time for yourself, to know that that is time well spent. So some of us are trained to be mothers and caregivers or caregivers of other people. And we think that everything we do is really to give to others. But what's it like to take 10 minutes a day, if not more, to really just take care of yourself, to feel loved and loving, and also to just clear the brain. And we're going to talk more about meditation and ways to do that. But we also need, we've talked about rest, plenty of water, hydration, oxygen comes in through breathing, but also through drinking water. And physical activity, again, I've talked about increasing mental alertness, but what kinds of physical activity? These larger aerobic movements. And you'll hear me repeat, because if we're dealing with memory loss, one of the things that is important is the idea that we practice, that we hear things a few times, that we take notes, that we read again. So I'm going to build that into this talk. So you'll hear me say some of the same things, maybe 3 or 4 times. So large rhythmic physical activity like walking, swimming, possibly gardening, especially if you're walking around, and dancing are ways to get the blood flowing through your body and into your brain. Yoga and meditation are more likely to clear your mind and relax it. Okay. Yoga can be bloodful and wonderful too. So this is a reminder that stress is not a bad thing. Actually, stress is an inevitable. There is stress in life. So please don't stress about trying to get rid of all stress, because it's impossible. But what we can do is recognize that stress is what strengthens us, but it has to be in the right dosage. If it's too much stress, you're starting to move into what might be called a traumatic event. And if it repeats itself, that starts to be kind of a traumatic stress. So we don't want too much. We don't want to be so overwhelmed that we have these, I'm going to demonstrate for you, these types of responses. Being on hyper alertness, we call it hypervigilant. Our eyes are kind of really widened. Our shoulders are up. We're holding our breath. So that is called a mini type of fight flight. So if you're really angry, of course, legitimate anger is really important. We need to express it. But if the anger is kind of stays in your body, it hasn't moved out, it hasn't been communicated in a constructive way, then that's keeping your heart rate high, which is stressful. It's keeping other kinds of breath rate high, physiological symptoms could be sweaty palms. So those are signals that you're actually in a stress state. Your shoulders are up chronically. It's very common in America. We need to all be relaxing a lot more. We're taught to work, 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 and not to take naps. So what is it to kind of fight that cultural phenomena that says work is the best thing you could be doing, giving to others is the only thing you should do, but rather for healing's sake and for just daily maintenance, giving to ourselves, just like they say on the airplane, take the oxygen for yourself before you help someone else. That's the only way you can be alive. So we want to keep ourselves strong, burn our own inner fires so we have extra to share with others. So finding that right amount of stress that strengthens us, that's a learning opportunity, that is a bodily strengthening, is really important. And then getting back to this word, there are a couple words. One is called homeostasis, the other is called allostasis. And that is where you're coming into calmness again. Relaxed alertness is what we're looking for. So again, to review, and then we'll have a little break and I'll see what your questions are. Very shallow breath, just breathing here, not in your belly, is one type of stress signal. Held breath, forgetting to exhale. So let's take a moment right now and just exhale. Can you hiss out? If you empty your breath, your body is going to instantly start to inhale. And if you've really emptied it fully, so let's do that again. You can hiss or just blow out your nose, whichever works for you. If you pause, the pause is natural. Then you kind of fill up like a balloon in all three dimensions. Your diaphragm moves down to make a vacuum for your lungs to fill. It massages your lower back and belly, and you get the oxygen you need into your lungs that's going to go into your heart first and to your brain quickly, and then out to all the cells of your body. So that also calms the heart, these heart palpitations that come up with anxiety. Or if you have sweaty palms, just placing your hands on your lap and finding that breath is helpful. So you might not have heart palpitations, but you might have a rapid heartbeat. And that's great. You want to get your heartbeat up at least 3 times a day just to stay healthy. But you want to have a good recovery heart rate where it comes back to rest quickly, back to this homeostatic place of your resting heart rate, which hopefully is well below 100. So that's something you can learn to count your heart rate, or divide by, let's say, 6 and do a 10-second reading of your heart rate. So you might, if you don't know what your resting heart rate is, you might ask your doctor to help you learn to do that. And then there are other ways you personally know in your body when you have stress. It might be butterflies in your stomach. It might be cold feet. It might be just fluttering with your eyes or a twitch. These are all very idiosyncratic. Each of us have different ways that we show that. So this 50 to 80 beats per minute is ideal in an adult. Babies have much faster heart rates. Easy and deep breath, an easy mind. And the opposite is the sweaty palms, increased breath rate, increased heart rate. And so let's do a couple more, and increased blood pressure. And if you have chronically increased blood pressure, that is called hypertension. And that is something that exercise can really help reduce. So I'm going to take a quick look at the chat and just see what's being written and check some of these questions. Yeah, it looks like we have lots of different comments. So I'm going to just take the share screen off, and so you can see me more fully, and I'll read a little from the chat and just say hi to those of you that came in a little later too. So I'm glad that you're hearing about sleep and rest, and the more that you can allow your worries to kind of be put on a shelf. That's an activity that you can do. You can breathe and think through your day as you lie down in bed and say kind of, oh, I accomplished this, and notice your accomplishments. And then you can say, I have this worry and I really can't do anything about it while I'm sleeping. So I'm going to put it on the shelf and it'll be there tomorrow. And you never know, your dreams might come up with a new solution or a new feeling for you for the morning. But generally, you want to just put things on the shelf and allow your sleep to be deep. So with finding words and memory loss, yes, I hope you've already heard that calming the brain, resting more, and then getting exercise and eating well are going to be the three big keys. Training our minds to think positively is another important skill, and we can talk more about that. It's interesting about learning new concepts as we get older. Learning a new language. They say it's really great to learn your languages before you're even 25, 30, or even when you're a child, right? So it is harder, but think of all the people that immigrated, maybe even in your own family, came into a new country and had to learn a language. And they did it. Some didn't, some chose not to, some had the right support system to not have to learn the new language, even in a country that speaks a different language, but it is possible. So this is just something that depends on the level of importance for you. Some people learn languages by watching and listening, either television or radio, just to be around it and just notice what words you do understand, rather than trying to have to retrieve words and find them. Just start by being a receptive learner. This is what children do. We analyze when we're teaching children about their reading skills and their memory skills. Are you a receptive or an expressive learner? So do you learn better by writing and using those could be three new foreign language words and putting them in a sentence or writing a little haiku? Or do you learn better by hearing and listening? So just maybe if it feels hard to retrieve memories, work with listening and then jotting down, what do you remember? And then having that visual cue of looking at what you want to remember. And 3 new things a day is huge, especially when we have so much else going on with organizing our life. So 1 or 2 words a day, it's great. So again, when you've got worries, can you put them on the shelf for good sleep? And can you see them in a positive energy? Your projecting positivity will only help them. I'm looking at this question on, is drug-induced sleep as effective for cell regeneration? Really great question. I'm not sure what research has been done, but yes, getting to sleep is important. And so if you need some either herbal or allopathic medicine, drug support for it, it is worth it. Because people that don't get any sleep, for instance, for 3 or 4 days, really begin to have what is called a nervous breakdown. So if you can just get sleep any way you can, different parts of your body will be regenerating. There may be, because of this type of biochemical interactions, some blockade on certain parts of your body, and it may just be more about movement. So that's okay. You don't need to move when you're sleeping. So that's the kind of thing you could ask the doctor that's prescribing the medicine about as well. So it's true that it's going to have some side effects and that the rest may be a bit different. So getting the 3-hour cycle of sleeping is actually excellent. 1.5 hours, 90 minutes, takes you through a full REM cycle. So if you're trying to have a nap to make up for lack of sleep the night before, get a 90-minute nap, 1.5 hours. Sometimes if you do 2 hours, you're now in the middle of the next, what's called REM cycle, the rapid eye movement cycle, where this is part of the dream cycle. So 90 minutes or 3 hours are actually great, or increments of 90. So 90 minutes is 1.5 hours, 3 hours, 4.5 hours, 6 hours. Those help make up for a night of not getting good sleep. The way to change the body chemistry is actually through diet and exercise, watching the sugar intake, especially late at night, but throughout the day. Those are inflammatory foods, anything that's carbohydrate that turns to sugar quickly. So that's starches. and or sugar itself are going to be kind of difficult with any inflammation in the body, any itis, arthritis, bursitis, all of these kinds of things. But they're also kind of inflammatory on the brain. So reducing sugars, carbohydrates, and starches, and then eating earlier in the day, and then getting exercise is really the best. And for those people that, for instance, are having knee pain or have had surgery and can't walk easily, we do a version of Moving for Life that's seated, and there are other aerobic classes that are seated that you really want to look for. Or even if you're deconditioned and yoga actually gets your heart rate up, then yoga stretching in a chair is a beginning. So start from where you are and recognize that you are different than you were before the cancer, for instance, but also different than other people. So you need, this is the somatic attention, paying attention to your body with your mind and allowing your body to tell you what feels good. So movement is really important for helping with sleeping and decision making. I'm not quite sure how we're going to get you the PDF, but I'm assuming that because you registered for this class, you're going to be able to get it as an email after the class. And I'm going to need a couple days just to tweak it because I always respond to the group and I want to make sure that I hit all the points in the handout.
So Alice, once I do get that from Martha, I will send it from the woman to woman email. You'll receive it in that way.
Terrific. Thank you. And I'd love a copy, just whatever you share. If there are other resources that you're using, I'm always looking to deepen my library. This idea of being almost narcoleptic throughout the day and tending to fall asleep right before it's time to pick up your child. Okay. Really important to try to take a nap earlier in the day, if at all possible. I know, financial burdens, if you're working, if there are other things you need to do, but it's really important to make up for whatever the sleep was like the night before and do it earlier. You know how babies, 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock, maybe it's a 10 o'clock nap, maybe it's from 12 to 1:30. So you get that hour and a half and then you'll be more refreshed. If you have actual narcolepsy, which my own father had, then he never took medication for it. He managed to always wake up just as he needed to. But you can obviously speak with your doctors about that. In terms of sugar and inflammation, fruit needs to be added in, especially fruit juice, because what you're doing with the fruit juice is taking like 5 oranges in one little glass, and sometimes they add, processed sugar to it. So you want something that has no additional sugar, and that maybe what I like to do is flavor my water with a little fruit juice because it tastes good and you get some vitamin C, but you're not getting in that much sugar. Just reducing, if you are someone who drinks sodas, sweet beverages like Pepsi and Coke, which are also stimulants, that's could be a huge change. Just finding ways to just have water that's flavored. I like kind of cinnamony flavors. Those wake me up. And so there's a kind of tea called Bengal spice, which is just cinnamon. It's not actually caffeinated tea. It's herbal blends. And when I drink that in water, I just put it in cold water. The bag flavors the water, and it kind of gives me a little pick-me-up. So yeah, great that you've mentioned that the hint waters are now flavored and possible to have. So, but yes, the fruit itself, if you just get to pick, like if you can have a half an apple, that's so great for your liver. And their different fruits have more sugars. And again, I'm not the nutritionist here, so let's get back to exercise in a minute. But yeah, grapes are the highest in sugar. The berries are less sugarful. So look at the actual sugar content. You can look that up online, sugar content for different fruits, and then decide what your portion size will be. Okay, I'm going to go back now to the PowerPoint. And hopefully we'll find the slide very quickly. Here we go. Yep, we're right there. And moving along, we have about 15 more minutes. So what are our stress busters? Some people listen to music. And if you are listening to music, if you can move along with it or sing along with it, you'll be burning some more calories, getting the blood flowing, vibrating your body, which changes the endorphins. And that leads right into singing and dancing, right? And for people for whom you do have a faith, praying is another way to reduce your stress, or meditating. Meditating can be either religious or secular. So just there's something called the relaxation response that was developed out of the Harvard Medical School that basically took meditation and looked at its elements, and I can share more about that with you. But before I go on to the meditation piece, which we'll be doing more of, I want to just emphasize that you also need to assess, are you a social person? Is it being with another person that relaxes you? And what type of people keep you most relaxed? So again, and which ones maybe help your memory a little bit? You can talk about memories. You can talk about what you learned that day. You can prod a little with each other and say, hey, tell me what happened 4 days ago, and see if you can get your mind reflecting back and counting back the days and remembering what happened. So being with people, of course, has been very difficult during the pandemic, but we do have telephones, we do have FaceTime, we do have Zoom. For me, a phone call with friends is really meaningful right now because I have so much time on the Zoom that I actually want to rest my eyes and just listen and maybe use a speakerphone so that I'm not leaning into a device yet again. But getting outdoors and walking with a friend is one of my favorite things to do. So something to think about, because you're exercising, talking, which is also raising your heart rate a little more, and getting outdoors and being with a friend. So check those possibilities out. Which ones resonate for you? Is it the walking? Is it getting outside and just being on a bench and meditating? Or is it being with a friend? Would that be on the phone? Would that be on with visual contact? Because there is proof that even eye contact with a friend or eye contact with someone that is calm can help settle your nervous system. We are empaths, we are empathetic. And there's discovery around mirror neurons and that we pick up energy from one another. So when we're around people that are upset, it can upset us. And we have to really use our skills to stay calm. Similarly, if you can be with people that either make you laugh or that are calm and they're just fun, that can be really helpful for your stress levels. And you can find that also in reading. So again, choosing what television shows you watch, what movies you go to, and what you read can be really important. So just as you choose your music, you might be choosing what calms you, what stimulates you. Mozart has been shown to help babies in utero have more brain cells active. So just using Mozart while you're doing a project, if that kind of distraction is supportive, in other words, if you're writing something and background music helps you, you might pick music that gets the brain cells interacting. Okay. So mindfulness is this process of making a decision based on how your body feels. If having certain music on and you live in a household where there is different needs of different people, different types of music or television going on, headsets can be so helpful to have your own private space. Pick the music that suits you and notice, have your shoulders dropped? Are you breathing more slowly? Are you taking deeper breaths? And that will give you the sense that you are being inspired by the music, the film, the book that you're with. Okay. And again, remembering rest. So we've talked about rest quite a lot already. This is just a recap that there are many ways to rest: sleep, taking a recuperative break, which could be a walk if you have a little energy, or could be just lying down for 10 minutes or 2 minutes. Many of us don't even think about it, that just 2 minutes. Sometimes getting down and getting up is hard, but lying on your bed, bending your knees, crossing your arms is called constructive rest. Your head is back, your arms are relaxed, your lower back is supported by your knees being bent, your feet are on the bed or the floor, and just breathing for 2 minutes can change your outlook and give you some extra rejuvenation. Again, massages are wonderful, and there are various oncological massage therapists, and some have reduced fees for people in treatment. So that's something worth investigating. I believe the Mount Sinai Network might be linked into that. And again, relaxing the mind either through still meditation or moving meditation. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Moving for Life, which is the exercise program I developed for originally breast cancer survivors, but within weeks, we were working with reproductive cancer patients because we were at Gilda's Club, and then spread out and started working with, again, with Share and Latina Share and having classes in English and Spanish, but also working with Woman to Woman over the years as well. So what do we want? We want some aerobics in there because that's what gets the blood flowing, and that blood to the brain is good for memory. So somewhere in there for at least 5 to 15 minutes, ideally 12. Some people go for 40, they go for a long bike ride, a long walk. Maybe that doesn't even feel long. Maybe a 2-hour walk feels long. You have to know what you have been doing recently, what you're capable of now, and then just stress yourself a little bit. Remember that? So if you're good with a 10-minute walk, what's it like to do a 15-minute walk? Or what's it like to do a 10-minute walk, but go a further distance by picking up your pace? That will get your heart rate up. Swinging your arms, holding something in your hands, using those ski poles is great, because if you use your arms rigorously, you're bringing in a whole other body part that is very close to the heart, and that raises the heart rate in a good way. However, when you're doing aerobic exercise, and this is where having a friend that you're walking with fits in also, if that's what you like to do. Some people like music and headsets, other people just like the quiet of being maybe in a park, looking at people watching, listening for any birds if there happen to be any. Is this idea of noticing if you can still talk. So if you are on your own, it's a little weird outside, but nowadays everybody's got something in their head and they're talking on the phone, so you can get away with it. Just sing, hum a little bit and see if that comes easily. That means you're working within your target heart range for stressing your heart in a good way, getting stronger, getting more energy, and kind of, what's the word I'm trying, dissipating, getting rid of the fatigue. So it seems counterintuitive. And when we started Moving for Life, doctors were saying cancer patients need to just rest. They didn't know exercise was important, but we did our research, 2 of the co-founders and I, and found that there were studies in Europe showing that cancer recovery was improved by exercising aerobically, not just stretching the areas where the scar tissues were in the belly or the back or the arm and the armpit or the nodal regions, but really getting whole body rhythmic movement, aerobic, walking, swimming, dancing, jogging if your knees are up for it, working on the elliptical machine, biking on the bike machine, bicycling if you're comfortable with that. Again, everybody's different, so it's going to be different. So the test of whether you're in the right stress, positive stress range is whether or not you can still talk. If you're so out of breath that you can't talk, you're moving into what's called the anaerobic threshold. You're no longer using the oxygen that comes from your breath cycle, and you're starting to use the oxygen that's in your blood, which is great if you want to be a sprint racer. Then you need to practice that. Or if you want to be a boxer, you need strong, quick energy. But for most of us, we want to be able to just get stronger. And especially post-treatment, or if we haven't been exercising for a long time, you want to start gently, especially so you're not stiff the next day. So nice aerobic activity where you're able to sing or talk at the same time is perfect. So we do that in Moving for Life, and we remind you to test that talk test. We're also mindful. We're using the somatic principle of paying attention to your soma. Your soma is your living body, your body that knows what it needs, what feels good. We call it body wisdom. So having you follow your own body wisdom with calming, breath-filled movements. So we begin Moving for Life with very gentle movement and exhaling deeply and inhaling to support our backs, especially. So many people have back pain. The inner balloon, and you can do this with me if you want right now. It's just like, as you take a breath in, you're filling up a balloon, and that can help you stretch and move. And it's less work than moving your muscles. Now, you're still moving your muscles, but you've got that inner support helping you glide and then coming down, exhaling with a kind of lightness. If you can, in Moving for Life, we have selected music that's upbeat and pretty happy. Some people love it. Some people like one song more than another. Sometimes people tell us to change the music more, and we do that. So music is a real antidepressant. And so we read that right away and said, let's find music that's uplifting. So moving, stretching, swaying, breathing, and having supportive music. And then adding some steps. So mostly we're walking in class and then working with arms, doing different things. But sometimes we go 4 steps forward, 4 steps back, side and side. These kind of movement memories will help challenge your brain. So you've calmed your body, and now you need to wake up some of the brain cells, okay? And then it's your choice whether you might want to do that alone with the camera off on our online classes, or with a DVD if you happen to still have a DVD player, or rather be in a group. And if you are in New York, we have outdoor classes now happening in Riverside Park, and we're going to be in the dance parade next 2 weeks from now, the 21st. So maybe that's a little more than 2 weeks. And you're welcome to join us. So why are we exercising or relaxing? It's the most important antidote to fatigue and helps with stress. And those are going to help your mind feel better. So your whole body gets to strengthen, and you're learning to stimulate your body in order to relax more. And then with this oxygen to your brain, you sleep better, you feel better with the happy hormones. Your naps can be shorter, perhaps, and there's a meditative-like quality to some parts of the Moving for Life class or other exercise choices you make, or doing seated meditation can also be helpful. I love this factoid that a massage is like a 3-hour nap. So if you can ever treat yourself to that, if you have the resources, then, and especially if you've been sleep deprived, that could be a great way to do better with sleeping. And then meditation also is like a sleep, because you're going into a zone of the brain. There are different brain wave states that is more relaxed. So we move to reduce stress. The questions you're going to ask yourself is, do you prefer to move alone or with others? Are you moving in ways that you enjoy? Do you prefer personal meditation or a quiet time for yourself? Or would you rather be with friends or watching a television show that gets you laughing? Do you want to get social with friends? And if so, can you find people that move at your pace, so you're not feeling like you're struggling to keep up, that they understand, or that they're willing to move at your pace? And talk about that beforehand. And that will also listen to you, so you get to de-stress with some of your thinking and maybe come up with some positive responses, and who will also laugh with you. So there's free meditation, lots of places now. There was at the JCC of Manhattan, but also online. And we at Moving for Life are working with a group called 3 Jewels, as in, glittery jewels. And you might look them up and see if that meditation appeals to you. That's where you meet a kind of inner teacher and are guided. So we've talked about massage helping, meditation, changing your brain state, getting into your alpha state and being restored. And then I mentioned this relaxation response. What Dr. Herbert Benson said was what you need to do is find a word that makes you happy. It could be something you already say. It could be, again, a haiku poem. So it could be several words. And it's called a mantra in Sanskrit. So if it's just someone's name that you love, it could be that. And what you're doing is you're breathing in and out. And if your mind gets distracted, you either follow your breath and just stay with that, or more sensorial, kind of feeling your body, or you can actually say your favorite word and just keep coming back to that word. So with that in mind, I'm going to stop the share again and come to a conclusion with you all. I hope you all know that you're welcome to come to the free Moving for Life classes online. There's a class every day. We have also lectures, and we listed this one as well. If any of you came through the Moving for Life listing, I'd love you to let us know. Yeah, I'm hoping the information isn't too overwhelming. Maybe take a deep breath in and notice what's resonating with you as you breathe out. Like, which thing? Was it about food? Was it about exercise? Was it about being with friends? Was it about breath that really resonated for you? And that's all you need to remember from today. The one or two things that felt good to you when you heard them. And yes, doing gentle push-ups on your kitchen counter are great. If by any chance you tend to stiffen up, it's good to get at least 3 minutes of aerobic movement going before you do your strength training, so that then a little cool down too, so that you don't stiffen up, so that the lactic acid doesn't build up in your muscles. But for osteopenia, you want to put pressure through the bones. Bone grows in response to stress. So just like all our other systems, like the heart needing to be pumped higher and a little more rapidly so it can then relax and find a more relaxed state. Same with the muscles. We have to use extra weight. I have my TheraBand. We use TheraBands a lot in Moving for Life. We'll be using them in the dance parade. I get a little kit. And so these just give a little tension, but you can decide what direction you want to go in, which way. And the weight is more distributed through the two hands rather than just one. But you can be light, like if one has a different range of motion than another, you can be respectful of that using your somatic awareness, your body wisdom. So osteopenia needs pressure through the bones. And we have a lecture on that. So you could be on our mailing list of Moving for Life by just visiting the website, signing on. And then when we have a lecture on healthy bones or the immune system or neuropathy, or when Woman to Woman invites us back, we can do a talk on that. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Martha.